Somebody posted on Facebook, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Jeremiah 10 is not about a Christmas tree with a coffee cup, right? It's supposed to be a teacup. Now, my comment couldn't have been a lot longer. And the only reason I comment on this is because this person always comments on my stuff, and plus they post a whole bunch of wrong stuff on the internet about the Bible, and I see that they have a thirst and hunger for the Most High, but it's so rooted in pride because he's void of any correction, and he be so wrong on a lot that even his Christian followers disagree with him. So this is what I said. Christmas trees are Asher poles, and that's what's described in Jeremiah 10. It's seen in Babylon, Egypt, Greek, Celtic, etc. cultures. Paganism. Deuteronomy 16 and 21 begins to say Asher trees. This would be called the tree of life in Mesopotamia. The pine cones seen being placed on it in Mesopotamian archaeological sites are replicated today. We also see it on the Pope's staff. It's for the pineal gland and the awakening of the Kundalini. So essentially it is. As is the wreath which represents Leviathan, the coiled serpent. It is taught the unwrapping of the serpent on the spine creates the experience. With the Pope taking over the Levitical priesthood, it points to the second temple. When the Pharisees developed from Assyrians, Babylonians, Egyptians, Rechabites, Nabatean Greeks, and Romans entered the priesthood. They brought in their idols and gods. This is why Yahushua prophesied the falling of the temple in 70 AD. He was sent to bind the sacrifices because the sacrifices go to the gods of the nations. Gods of virgin birth, crucifixion, December 25th, demigods. The names vary across culture, yet the name used today is seen then. Santa is a Hittite god of war, vegetation, the underworld, and is correlated with Marduk, associated with war as Mercury, Mars, Aries, Anet, who is associated with Astra. He is worshipped specifically, y'all. He was also worshipped in first millennial BC, but we're going to stick to this since he's talking about Jeremiah 10. That's how we line it up, okay? So Santa is worshipped in 8th century BC. Now, y'all know for a fact that this is the time of the Assyrian captivity of the northern kingdom. We could check this out in the book of Isaiah. When the Assyrians began to displace the northern kingdom, put them in all of Europe, Spain, Portugal, so on and so forth, and replace them by these forementioned nations. And we know for a fact that the God of the land began to reject them. Therefore, the Assyrian king had one of the Gadites. And the reason we know that is Gad because it was specifically a law teacher or a priest from the northern kingdom. And Gad was stated to be the lawgiver in the northern kingdom. Forced them to come in and teach them the law, statutes, and commandments. While they learned that, they continued to worship their own gods. And this is where you began to have the Ukrainian converts to Judaism in the 8th century in the Ukraine, whom we have already proven once before are Horites. They are in Kharkiv, Kharkiv, Ukraine. And their symbol continues to be the cornucopia and the Kaldukis, which is seen to represent Nergal in ancient Mesopotamia. And as I continue to read, I'll tell you exactly who Nergal is. So this is how we begin to line it up. Oh, here we go. Their god of resurrection is Nergal, who is seen as Rephesh. And we know that Reph comes from the Semitic root Raph, which means to heal or to bring back to life. So Rephesh is seen as a Semitic god in Egypt who sacrificed sheep on top of El's temple. The prophecy of Assyrian captivity is seen in Isaiah 7 and 4 as fulfilled. Isaiah 6 and 8 prophesies the Babylonian captivity, which is the timeline of Jeremiah 10. He is attested Santa in Akkadian, which is spoken in Babylon, further proving Santa is an ancient god. He's also worshipped as a sun god. Now, the other gods that are worshipped similarly are Mithras, a Persian god of Zoroastrianism born on December 26th. Persian captivity is seen in Esther. The Aramaic, which is what second Enoch, Daniel, Nehemiah, Ezra, first and second Esdras, along with Isaiah, Jonah, and Matthew unfolds the Persian influence. Hence the issues between Yahushua and the Pharisees. The Sadducees rejected the resurrection as original zealots. Their descendants of Aaron via Eleazar and Phineas. This is because these gods of resurrections were brought into the land. The Hebrew resurrection isn't the same as other nations. I should copy this. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to copy this. In case he deleted. Tammuz is also Dumuzi, who Ezekiel sees our men worshiping in the temple, while our women make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. They are consorts, and the Queen of Heaven would be Inanna or Ishtar, which goes back to Ashereth. So Krishna, for some Hindus, are worshipped on Christmas to continue Diwali, their feast of lights, to celebrate the god. Hanukkah resembles the feast of life as so-called due to the cultural influence of these people in the Second Temple. The word bind means to prohibit, as seen in Psalms 18, 26, and 27. Blessed be he that cometh in the name of Hashem. He hath blessed you out of all the house of Hashem. Elohim is Hashem, which has shown us light. Bind or prohibit the sacrifices with cords, even unto the horns of the altar. We're going to precept it to prove it. Psalms 51, 16 through 18. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou desirest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of Hashem are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O Elohim, thou wilt not despise. Do good and thou good pleasure unto Zion. Build the walls of Jerusalem. Hosea 6 and 6. For I desire mercy and not sacrifices, and the knowledge of Hashem more than burnt sacrifices. Matthew 24 and 2. And Yahushua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. The Epistle of Barnabas confirmed Matthew 24. Epistle of Barnabas chapter 16, verse 3 through 4. And it reads, Behold, those who tore down this temple will themselves build it. It is happening again. For because they're fighting, it was torn down by the enemies. And now the very saints of the enemies will themselves rebuild it. So whoever attempts to rebuild that dirt temple that has fallen are the enemies of the saints. The saints are witnesses. Witnesses are martyrs. These are the Israelites. Now we begin to look at Leviathan. It is a name one doesn't see often, but that makes it all the more appealing. Of Hebrew origin, that title is derived from Livwah, Livyah, which means garland or wreath. Many people also recognize the name from the Old Testament, where the mythological sea serpent carries the name Leviathan. And I begin to tell him, as a descendant of the Irish, Christmas is pagan.